Gila.
Thank you, Ms Lill. I think it's helpful to look at the consultation responses from airlines and airports when this was put out. So only 2 out of 38 airlines opposed the changes, whereas airports were unanimously opposed to these measures. Airlines argued that without a handback mechanism they would not be able to justify their schedules early enough to provide passengers with meaningful notice, even where known risks to operations existed. Airlines also considered the 10% limit on handback too low and pushed to increase that to 20% plus. Generally speaking, we support the restriction to 10% to reduce the potential impact on consumers. Airport respondents opposed the proposal were not against alleviation in principle, but the handback mechanism specifically. They argued that the existing justified non-utilisation of slots, JNUS, provisions are sufficient to enable cancellations where operational constraints, including fuel shortages, arise. For instance, JNUS has already come into effect, providing slot alleviation to operators because of airport and airspace closures from the disruption in the Middle East. It's worth noting that given there is no fuel shortage now, and none is expected according to government data and airline CEOs, this approach does risk appearing to be unjustified, disproportionate and not entirely required, seeing as the measures in place are already helping with those issues. There is a risk that instead of ensuring reliable services as stated, it could undermine consumer confidence and growth and investment opportunities. Liberal Democrats recognise that flexibility during this tumultuous period is important, as we've seen events can move very quickly in the Middle East. We want to protect the long-term financial sustainability of the airline sector, and we don't want airlines using slots for empty or near-empty ghost flights, where demand is insufficient in order to maintain these historic rights to slots. But these changes would result in flight cancellations with little notice, with huge disruption to consumers. The proposal to allow handbacks with as little as 14 days' notice is contrary to the stated aim of preventing disruptive late cancellations, and it is unnecessary since JNUS can be used at this late stage if a genuine fuel shortage occurs. In a cost of living crisis with flight prices through the roof already, customers will be forced to spend more money on replacement flights at the last minute or lose money on hotels or onward travel. It is also the case that 14 days' notice is too short a period for airports and other users to make effective use of the vacated slots, as airports typically need 6 weeks' notice to reallocate slots commercially. That means you'll likely have unused slots, which reduce income to airports and reduce investment on passenger and freight infrastructure. Slot alleviation on their own cannot be considered the solution to fuel resilience issues. Other action is needed. The government must outline what other steps it will take to ensure the continued resilient supply of jet fuel availability in the UK, including going further and faster on the adoption and scaling up of SAF projects to ensure the UK is able to secure supplies of sustainable aviation fuel that both ensures the lack of disruption to flights but also enables the further decarbonisation of aviation. I can also ask whether the government will commit to formally monitor handbags under the flexibility offered by this legislation to ensure that they are a result of genuine fuel shortages undertaken in a timely manner and are not being abused. I will also echo the concerns from the Conservative spokesperson regarding the impact on consumers. I will therefore be voting against these measures